Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Hello and welcome from wherever in the world you are right now as the Apex Racing Academy F4 Championship gets underway for its second season. And well, after last season, the drama, the excitement, the frills and the spills, the close action that we saw, it's back for another season and back with a bang. I am Tim Cox with Sam Fitzpatrick, and what better way to kickstart the season than here at a circuit that was the first time F1 visited a country within the Iron Curtain of the Soviet and countries. Of course, Hungaroring in Hungary. It's a challenging circuit. So, well, Sam, a nice one to pick to get things underway. You know, not an easy start and introduction to the championship for our drivers.
No, this is quite a challenge for them. Not a track that necessarily they've visited that many times. It's not used that much in the official series, and of course, it only got added to the iRacing service within the last 12 months. And so, not the easiest, but I think a decent circuit for these F4 cars, honestly, Tim. I mean, in the big single-seaters, the Formula 1 cars that visit here annually, it's very tricky to overtake. It's Monaco with walls. It's got a reputation for. But in these F4 cars, you can overtake, you can follow. And so we should see some good racing.
Oh, we should do indeed. And especially with the format, same format as last season. We've got 2 heats, obviously after qualifying, or the odd placed grid slots from qualifying and head across into Heat 1. The even places head across into Heat 2. But we'll see the top 8 progress into the grand final automatically. Everyone else, well, they head into the Consolation final, where the qualifiers from there will progress into the final from there. And well, who's going to make it into the final for the first time this season? Who's going to pick up the victory? And, well, Sam, bit of a change as well from last season. We had 3 different classes, but we've only got 2 this season. And also to throw into the mix, there's quite a few new names in here as well, which is great to see.
Yeah, just the 2 classes, slightly fewer entries. I mean, we've still got 34 drivers signing up for this season, which is really good to see so many drivers enthusiastic about the championship. But it means that the 2 classes are that much more competitive. We've got a lot of amps. We've got, I think, 20 amps out there, just because there's such a high percentage. The cutoff between the pros and the amps is actually 2.4K. and pretty much half the field are between sort of 1.6 and 2.4k, and so that is going to be so competitive in the AMs. Then of course we've got the pros. This man, Lennart Schnabel, runner-up last season to Will Redford, who was absolutely dominant, won the first 10 races of the season, even though he didn't turn up for a couple of races later on. He was still able to clinch the championship. Schnabel, arguably the favourite going into this season. However, Theodore Bergerson is the highest I-rated driver. He's got a 6k I-rating, driving for Blank Team, and he was up in P2 as well during practice. So Bergerson or Schnabel, I think, is where the smart money's on, but there's, like you said, a fair few other drivers who we really haven't got any experience on.
In regards to the AMs, reigning championship champion within that is Philip Russell. However, obviously where we've done away with the Pro-Am category, Sam, it's, it's going to be a bit more trickier for Russell to retain that championship, where he's now up against stronger drivers. But in equal terms as well, Russell has improved since then as well. So it's a tricky one to call. And as you mentioned, that's such a narrow spread. I see qualifying just underway right now, and we've started to get some times on the board. But yeah, it's going to be a real challenging one for him, and to retain that, it's so competitive. For me, it's pound for pound where the action's going to be at in this championship. It's going to be great to see. So Zambo's your provisional pole sitter with Zambra, apologies. It's not the Irish name. That 143.7. It's nearly 3 tenths clear of Young in second place, who is second, leader in AM in 8th. Well, see, everyone's just coming across the line to complete their first laps. It's all changing dramatically as Kaibach goes quickest and Lauritsen is quickest in the AMs, who's 7th overall, which I think just goes back into what we just mentioning about just how competitive and strong some of those AMs are.
Yeah, and it's going to take us a little bit of a while to get used to the colours for this series, because we're so used to the green meaning the Pro-Am, but no, the greens represents the pros and the whites represents the AMs. And yeah, we will see a few of those AMs mixing up with the pros. I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a heat race win for an AM at some point in the season. Certainly podiums even in come the A finals, I think we could see for some of the AMs. So that's going to be very tasty. And of course, it's such a unique format, this, Tim. It's always my favourite format. I just think it adds so much to each of the different races. For those AMs, it's all about getting to that A final. We're going to have 20 drivers reach the A final, which will mean half the AMs or 2/3, well, potentially, so 2/3 of the AMs could miss out on the A final. And so if you can get into that A final consistently, you're guaranteed to be in championship contention.
Wow, look at Kaibach just going top of the timing sheets there, but by 1,000th of a second. That's the fine margins that we're dealing with here, of course. As things stand at the moment, Kaibach and Zambra will be on pole for Heat 1 and Heat 2 respectively.
I'd also just like to say, sorry to interrupt him, but
no.
Kaibach doing the 3K drives very proudly. He's only 3,002. He's 6 I rating lower than me, which means that I would be on pole position if I was out here out on circuit. So really thanks to Michael for representing us 3.00 I rating drivers very well.
There we go. Well, if it was definitely in a radical and it was in the winter, you'd definitely be on pole and winning them all. As a former champion in the BSR Winter Radical Series as well. You see full commitment there from Cyro Zambra over through the chicane. You see him just absolutely hooking up. This feels like it's going to be a good lap. And well, last time around, Sector 3 set the quickest of anyone. Can he do that again? Can he go faster? Can he find that 1,000th of a second to place comeback from the pole? Yes, indeed.
Oh, as he goes very wide, but that's all right. You're going to push all the way to the track limits. This is one of the new tracks where iRacing sometimes defines the limits by the end of the red and white curves. In fact, actually, he's given up on that lap. Maybe he was pushing it too hard. Picked up the 1x. He's still got another 1 attempt to go, because once the 10 minutes are up, that is it. You can't finish the lap that you start. You've got to get your lap time in before the 10 minutes are up. the moment, Zambra would be on pole position for Heat 2, so but that is pretty much as close a qualifying as you're going to get. Lauritsen still top of the amateur drivers, ahead of Daniel Parent-Smith. Now, Parent-Smith was much faster, was by far the fastest amateur driver in practice by about 0.4 of a second, so quite surprising that the rookie isn't on that pole position at the moment. However, this has been a very nice lap for him. Personal best Sector 1 and Sector 2. Do we see him push up? He does, and he's up into that pole position in the ANS, and, well, restoring that 3.5 of a second lead that we saw in practice.
And what's good for him as well, that Kerr, who's currently 11th fastest, will be joining in his heat. He's the third quickest in the AMP, so he won't have to deal with Lauritsen, who's second quickest in AMPs. He's currently sitting 9th overall, is the Dane in the time standing. So it makes progression that little bit easier. Let's have a quick run through those who are into the qualifying, just before we get into the true closing stages of qualifying. So this season, of course, kicking things off at the Hungaroring for next week. We have a bit of a trip away for 3 weeks in North America. We've got Road America. VIR, I was going to work virtual then, completely wrong, Virginia International Raceway, but it's full name, Montreal, before we come back to Europe for Barcelona and Rudskogen. 22nd of April, we head across the land of the rising sun and visit Japan's newest circuit on iRacing, this course, Fuji, before coming back to Europe, where we finish the high-speed, iconic cathedral of speed that is Monza. And then running up the championship at Long Beach, which is going to be a real challenge for the drivers.
Zambra.
Yeah. So that's the quickest time for Zambra.
Yeah, for Squawks Esports, so he's not 1,000th of a second off anymore, and in fact can go 1/10.5 quicker than anyone else has done so far, albeit there is still a little bit more time, 40 seconds left of the session. But yeah, looking like a pretty nice schedule, of course, following the official series schedule. And if you want to still sign up for this championship, you can do. Go to apexracingleague.com, you can sign up to this championship, or our Porsche Cup Championship coming up, or our new Clear Cup Championship. Entries for that are not open yet. However, do keep your eyes peeled over the next week or so. That's going to be a lot of fun. To check out apexracingleague.com and check out our Discord as well. But yeah, plenty of fantastic tracks. Rudskogen and Long Beach, I think, in particular. And Montreal, actually, I'm really looking forward to. Just 5 more seconds to go. Is anyone going to get across the line? I'm not seeing anyone particularly close to the start-finish line. And so we'll get to the 10 minutes and the cars will suddenly disappear from this Hungaroring circuit. And our first heat of the season is about to start off.
Right. I don't know about your end, but at my end, Sam, the grandstand, the virtual grandstands here suddenly got much more populated. So they all know that we're in for a great race. They're all flocking to the stands. This is your first grid. Zambra on pole with Bergerson alongside him. Young has James Bell for company on second row. Highest of the AM qualifiers, Parent-Smith has got Daniel Moore alongside him on the third row. Grid fourth row is Cadence Presley with Liam Kerr. Skoo and Wilkinson make out the fifth row and running out your top 10 with James Horn and Joseph Gibbons on the sixth row. Your less complete row, that's row 7. Garrett Spence has got Dorian Arroyo with Frederick Johansson in the solitary 15th place. Row to himself, but from what we've seen after over our many times of commentating at the circuit, Sam, sometimes that last place, it can get a bit spicy, especially with this heat format on the opening stages. So being last, sometimes you can see everything that's happening in front of you, so you can make up some places. Yeah,
it can be an alright position to be in. When we visited this championship, or also when the F3s, the Apex Racing Academy F3 Championship visited here, it was probably one of the worst starts I've ever seen in my life. And I've commentated on races at Bathurst, but even that, it was rivaling Bathurst type start. I think we had about 20 cars annihilated. It was a 45 car field, and that's part of the reason why we have this format, so that we keep the numbers a little bit lower on the grid and hopefully avoid any incidents. I'm hoping the drivers are going to be sensible here. They know top 8 is all you need in this heat in order to get to the A final. Let's see how smart they are about it.
Well, let's find out. Everyone on the grid, tension starting to build. We get ready to go racing the first time this season. Who's going to pick up the first victory? As we are green and we are away here from Hungaroring, and it's a great start from Zambra, moving instantly down to that inside line, trying to cover off any adventures up the inside from anyone else. Bergson and Bell following in right behind him. Bell's already made it one place over than Young. Aiden Young in these opening stages. And Johansson said about making a fast start from the back. Well, he's already picked up 2 places. He's already up into 13th as everyone, wow, bunched out side by side as we enter into turn 2 for the first time this evening. And it's getting tight, it's getting close, it's getting competitive here at the front. 5 cars all quarrelling over the same inches of tarmac. Is just in the background there. 2 cars having a bit of a tussle there. I think that was Gibbons and Spence. Everyone making it through turn 4 somehow, some way, which is pretty amazing, Sam, because they were all ganging up on one another and it looked like it was going to go wrong in a big, big way.
And that was a strong driving, Johansson up 3 places. Oh, as we got side by side through the chicane and over the curves. Well, that's going to be a huge slowdown for the 178 of Zambra. So huge disappointment for the pole sitter, and he will surely drop many more places, or a bit at the moment. He'll still be able to fight hard, makes a little bit of contact. Needs to make sure he doesn't do in his steering, as now they're continuing to make contact. We're going to have 3 wide. They're keeping it in the same direction, but not for long, as Young spins round, but fortunate not to collect anyone else in that one. That was super aggressive driving, particularly from Zambia, and in the end they were always going to make it around that narrow part of the track.
Wow, that was full commitment and strong there from Zambia. See Scooter head up the inside and then just gets nervous. Too much speed in there, and there's a spinner there, and that is Johansson. I said about the great start he'd made. Oh, well, it's all come apart for the Scandinavian. As Cadence Presley, he was one of the drivers caught up in that contact, and he's into the pits, and that's not looking good for him in these opening stages. But, well, this battle ensuing large here, as we see Moore here trying to defend off. Well, Zambra involved there. We've seen already he's been involved in plenty of action. Real big gap has emerged though. Our top 3, they've got away of Bell, Bergeson and Parent Smith. But Zambra are more.
They all make contact, all 4, all 5. Oh, what a mess here. Hungaroring as they continue to pile in. And it's totally flipped this race on its head. And that was just some aggressive driving, going 3 wide on lap 2. And a few of them spun around. It means that we've got the likes of Spence up 5 places, Arroyo up 5 places. And, well, I think a couple of drivers well still got damage as well. Kerr, apologies, this is Zambra. He's trying to make his way back through. I think he's got mainly a clean car, Zambra, so seeing that mess up ahead, you might fancy his chances as he comes ever so close to making contact again.
We said it'd be a bit of a wild ride. We weren't lying at all, and, well, Horn really fell for him as, I can't remember who it was, just, you know, they were trying to roll the car backwards off the track to get out of everyone's way, and in doing so, Horn elected to go round the back of them, and then we're getting collected. It's lucky for the Brits, but up at the front, Bell, Bergeson, Parent Smith have remained pretty much as they are, just unknowing to what is going on behind them, the chaos, the cacophony of drama. Parent Smith, and you called it, Sam, could potentially having a winner from an AM, and right now, well, we're going to have him on the podium overall.
And here he comes for 2nd position. That's an aggressive move at this point, as he needs to make sure he doesn't track out. That's very aggressive there from Parent Smith, not really leaving a car's width, albeit it's so tricky to define the limit of the circuit when you are free from iRacing to run all 4 wheels beyond the white line. As long as you keep a wheel onto the curb, most of the time you're going to be fine. The 134 eventually being able to take a normal racing line, but this is seemingly pretty high slipstream. They cannot pull away from one another, and this will continue to the end. And it's a high slipstream as well for Daniel Amor. He is very close to Aiden Young just in the background.
So kicking off, well, not even quite at half race distance, or 10 minutes in each of the heats. Young leading the best of the rest in 4th, and more, as Stan mentioned, right onto the back in Kerr, not too far behind. Don't discredit the Australian to get into that mix, as we're seeing Spence up the inside. One of the few places you can definitely get a move done nice and easily into the chicanes there are 6 and 7, and the American upper place. That's now up 4 places for Garrett Spence, but not enough to qualify because, well, Zambra is the last driver to make it through. There he is in 8th. And, well, Spence isn't too far behind, is he?
No, and Zambra had an awful previous lap. He lost that position, but yeah, he regained it earlier on in this lap. So Zambra having an absolute roller coaster ride. How he's in the top 8 sort of demonstrates the chaos that's been going elsewhere. Just do get one faster pair, so that's why we've still got everyone still running out on circuit. And yeah, reminder, as Tim was alluding to, top 8 making their way straight through into the A final. The rest will have to go through the B final, and only the top 4 from the B final will get through, which, considering that we're going to have 14 drivers in the B final, that will not be easy to attain. Parent Smith dropping a little bit of time now, and if Ferguson's smart about this, he will just wait behind Bell and try to break the draft. This is a 2-horse battle rather than a 3.
You're very stringent there on the amount of people you can get through out of the Consolation final, Sam.
Yeah, well,
that's tough.
They need to, yeah, well, it's a last chance. I mean, it's almost,
True,
you need to think
true.
about it in terms of, all right, you've messed up your heat. However, we're giving you a second chance to get into the A final. I think that's how the drivers have got to think about it. They've got to be thinking, well, I can't, I absolutely have to get through the heat. I cannot possibly risk failing to get through the heat because, yeah, that B final is so competitive.
As Wilkins has just made his way past Kerr further down the field. Great to see. We're going to have 3 amps as things stand at the moment, heading straight into the final. That is a real turn-up for the books, really. Zambra now up onto the back of Kerr. Unfortunately, Spencer not able to come along for the ride as, oh, this is a bit tasty, isn't it? Arroyo having to try and make his way past Johansson.
He was just losing that place to Johansson.
Yes, he was, wasn't he, Sam? He was indeed, and that's not going to help those two. As up in front, Zambra trying to make his way through to not be the last of the qualifiers through. But he's getting a real tough race here from Kerr, who's squeezing him and pushing him and not making the Swiss driver's life as easy at all. But Zambra in the end just able to pick him off, just get onto the right line, and now needs to get after Wilkinson. And of course, this affects where they start the final from.
As there's a change for the lead as well, Bergson moving past. I think that may have just been Bell running slightly wide. But you're absolutely right in terms of, you know, the positions setting for the next race. So yeah, if you get into the top 8, then that will set your position for the look at the bump charts, and you love to see it. And then yeah, I think the 1-2-1's just gone a bit deep in here, and really Bergeson's got nothing else to do than just taking his racing line and sort of accidentally takes the race lead. And that does allow Parent Smith to get a little bit closer again. He's still just getting a little bit of the draft a bit, running wide like that. The turn 5 will not help his cause.
I mean, Parent Smith is just about clinging hold to the back of these two, but I mean, I think if they were to stop fighting and just, you know, get on with things, then I think we'd see them pull even further away. The gap currently is second between our top 2, and Parent Smith currently in 4th. You can just see the number 8 in the background there. But looking at the lap times, Sam, when they come across the line, it's going to be white flag in the air. 1 lap left to go. Who's going to pick up the first heat victory of the season? Will it be Bergson? Will it be Bell? I mean, normally I'd probably say Bell is more in a better position, especially how close and, you know, in terms of space between the 2 cars, and also outright pace these 2 are, that we'd see Bell take this, but it's so challenging to overtake around here.
As here comes, oh, look at the move down the inside, and Zambra might be losing out a position out of this when he was past Wilkinson, wasn't able to make the move stick, and now it's the Australian of Liam Kerr who fancies his chances. Great to see another no-limit sim racing driver out there after seeing a couple of them in the ARA Prototypes Championship back on Thursday. And in the end, Bergson was able to hold on to that race lead. Can the 178 make the move this time? Almost got it done about half a lap ago. This time he's doing it at turn 1, but again it's a big slide, and again he's going to be under pressure from the man down under.
I do wonder if he's just taking a bit too much out of those tyres, or if he's overheating them, because he's really struggling right now as Zambra. Well, you say that, just trying to run it right around the outside. He's off onto the grass, and that's going to allow Kurt to come straight back out here. And up the hill, Kerr's going to be on the inside line. I think Zambra partly knows that. He's slightly lifted out of it, and slightly less momentum compared to the Aussie. And as you said, Sam, after taking 6th place from Wilkinson, Zambra is back down to 8 and running up time. As well, they're changing. They're going early, aren't they?
Yeah, this is properly nail-to-nail stuff. Ferguson holding on to the lead for now, but Bell was almost able to get it done. Coming out of the chicane, they're alongside through the S's as Parent Smith makes up car lengths on these two drivers. Now moving to the inside as the 1-2-1, trying to cover it off. That's a massive weave down the straight. Bell leads the way, and Parent Smith sends it down the inside, and that might just deter Ferguson from being able to make this move into the penultimate corner. They're fighting like it's for the title. It's for the first heat race win of the season, and right now it looks like the Brit's going to do it.
Well, just needs to make it through, and he should be okay. Round the final corner, and Bell is going to take the first victory of the season with a weave across the line. He knows it. Bergson in second. Parent Smith picks up third. The AM driver hits the podium in heat on this early stage. Great to Zambra. Is he going to get a run out in the final corner? I'll tell you what, Kerr feeling a bit nervous, and yes, Kerr holds on to that one. So your qualifiers are, obviously our top three that we mentioned, Young, Amor, Wilkinson, Kerr and Zambra all make it through to the final. 5 pros and 3 AMs through. Not making it through. Spence, Johansson, Arroyo, Horn, Presley, Givens and Skoo.
Yeah, that was... It wasn't the greatest indicator of pace. I mean, the great defense from Wilkinson, I will just say that, and fantastic batting from a couple of those drivers to hold on to those positions in the closing stages. But yeah, huge disappointment really for Cyril Zambra after starting in pole position to finish as far down as he did. But here is the grid for race 2 then. We've got K-Batch up on pole position, and it's Kellera, Caponier, Schnabel, Zwemstra, Aske Lauritsen, Tom Minot, Oscar Sale, Chris Kirk, Philip Russell, Jorge Gonzaga, Atia Toth, Nick Polliard, Paul Joseph Clist, and Jay Walsh. Running out the 15 cars, and already we're getting to the green flag.
It's very much a British grid, this one, isn't it? Plenty of Brits represented. Here come the lights as we are green and we are away for Heat 2 of the evening. And who's going to come out on top with this one? We're going to have more AMs making their way through, but they're far more scattered across the racetrack compared to Heat 1. Everyone just hugging down low as Schnabel and Capione looking around, well, at one another. Schnabel sends it right around the outside, using the momentum, the pace, and the grip out there to take second. So he wants to go after his fellow countryman, Kaibak, who's ahead of him. But, well, he's all... Kaibak has a bit of a twitch, and Capione just getting into the side of him there. Oh wow, that's how to go from first to third in the space of a corner, and Schnabel, what a start from him at 3 places to lead in these early stages, Sam. Well, I'm not too sure what happened to Kaibak. They just got really nervous coming into turn 2.
He braked so early. It was a shock for everyone behind, particularly for Kaleha, I think. He was the one who pretty much ran into the back of him. Capione managing to take advantage of it as they're alongside the chicane. That's very much a single file corner, and these two are now losing each other a lot of time. Kellera managing to get back past then Cave, actually continues to drop down the order. I'm struggling with the cold tyres. I do like his livery, but it's not helping him on this opening lap of the race. And Swimster staying pretty much where he was. He wasn't able to follow through his teammate, but Schnabel from 4th to 1st in less than 1 lap.
I just get the feeling this heat is not going to settle down one little bit, is it? Because there's still all pretty much nose to tail. We haven't had the big incident like we had in race 1 of the evening. Still all the way down to 12th. They're within a second of one another, and then we've got basically the battle for 13th between Clist, Walsh and Polliard. But there they are, side by side, exiting the turn 14, the final corner. I'll tell you what, they know they're not going to make it through, but it's not going to stop them having a great old race at the back here, all over 13th. Clist is going to be in a bit of trouble, though, you feel, as he's got about 3 wide into turn 1. No, they all back out of it, just decide against it. Clist is going to hold on as Polliard and Walsh still scrapping away and just trying to decide who's going to take the fight to Clist here. It's all calmed down, and Clist now having a bit of breathing room while these two scrapping away as Walsh claims that 14th place. Polliard running slightly wide there.
Sale managed to get past Minot whilst we were watching that one. I think that was into turn 2. I don't want to dislike drivers, we're not biased in the commentary box at all. However, currently I'm hating Jorge Gonzaga because we've got an opportunity at a fantastic bit of top 7 green and the bottom 8 am. And he's ruining that right now, Gonzaga. Come on, we want nice, orderly stripes, if possible, on the timing tower. And Jorge is letting the team down. Let's see if he can gain a few places to restore that blocks of colour that we all want to see. That's why we tune in every week.
Patterns and organisation. That's the key, isn't it? But you try to tell this lot that as Minot leading the AMs right now, getting stuck right into things here. Minot in the 291, being squeezed a bit wide. He's going to use that to try and gather a bit more speed, a bit more momentum. There's a 107 there of Sale just ahead of him. He went on the attack, but now Minot has got Lawrenson all over his gearbox, all tucked up underneath his rear wing, where he doesn't want it. And Lawrence has got a bit of a run. I thought he got a better run, but Minot being helped out there by the slipstream of Sale, but Minot feels vulnerable. You can tell it. He goes and hugs the wall. He tries to cover off that inside Ryan, but we've seen so many times here that actually sometimes being on the outside of turn 1 can prove better, but that's not, as Lawrenson is around.
That was like a Formula V spin there, just spun on a top. As now we have Zwemstra moving up into P3. The Alcantech NHR drivers have much better race pace than quali pace, it looks like. And Zwemstra is taking that to the full advantage. He's trying to move alongside the Irish driver. They'll go alongside into T4, but the confidence there from the team driver racing kart was absolutely brilliant. And Calera remains in 3rd position. And Kaibach dropping down to 5th from pole position. Not a day for the pole sitters.
It's not, is it? It's really, really not. And it's surprising from that great pace that Kaibach we saw from him in qualifying. And just not able to, well, it was all about that turn 2, wasn't it? It's just gone from bad to worse for the German. Like, he's still, you know, going to make it through to the final as things stands, and it's got a bit of a comfortable gap between himself and Sale emerging now. Sale obviously in 6th place. So just providing the chance to go after Zemstra and Kelleher, who's ahead of him. But which these three start to lose touch with our top 2, Schnabel and Caponio. Let's see what happens at the halfway stage. Who's going to make a lunch? Who's going to start making some moves? Because you need to get on, you know, say halfway stage, normally that's half an hour into a race, you know, 20 minutes. Not this, 5 minutes in, and that's halfway stage. And with a long, long lap here, Sam, at 1 minute 43, compared to some circuits we're going to be visiting this season, you need to get your moves done early. You've got to be aggressive, especially at a circuit like Hungaroring, where there's so limited overtaking opportunities.
I'm not someone with a particularly short attention span. You know, I'm willing to sit down about a random half-an-hour documentary on a boat, but even I like this format in terms of the 10 minutes because, yeah, it's absolutely rapid. There's absolutely no wasting time. And, yeah, the drivers have got to get on with it. Then, of course, we move into the B final and the A final, 14 minutes and 18 minutes respectively. But particularly these heats are, as I say, absolutely over before you know it. And if you do make a mistake, it's very tricky to recover. And I mean, all these 3 guys need to realise that they're in a decent position. Gonzaga, come on, mate. You can get up into P7. 5 seconds to gain. Okay, that's a little bit ambitious, but you know, there's a possibility here for the OCD of our viewers being absolutely satisfied earlier on in the season. The Portuguese up to P9.
It's you sound a bit like Jim from Crew Chief there, Sam, saying, "Come on, we can catch him." When you're coming into like the final 3 corners, and the car in front of you is like 30 seconds up the road.
Yeah, yep.
We've all been there. We've, I mean, I got a feel from Jim from Crew Chief because he's just, he must get, he gets roasted by all of us so much. But I bet him in real life, he's probably the nicest bloke you've ever met. Talking of which, George, I nearly called him George Russell. That's you, Sam.
That's his brother,
me.
famously.
Yes.
Lewison has just got past Kirk, by the way, so Kirk's having a bit of a mare of a lap, actually. He's dropped 2 places, dropped 2 seconds in Sector 2 and 1 second in Sector 3. But yeah, anyone who doesn't know, Philip Russell is the brother of George Russell, who, of course, had a decent qualifying tonight and, well, Philip usually has a chat with us. Usually his mic fails and it takes half an hour for us to have a chat with him. But sometimes we do get a squeak out to the man, and he usually gives us some nice insider tips about the F1 world. So do keep tuned post-race for that. Walsh, I think, also just got past Paul Joseph list potentially.
He did, yes.
Up into 13th place now is Walsh a bit. Still well outside the oh no, come on, Jay. Come on. You can't. No. That's 14th now for him, and Pollard will be fairly close behind. Yeah, not too far behind. There he is.
He's catching him a bit just as he makes his way through the tyre smoke there. A bit of a bigger gap than what I was expecting, actually, but just keeping half an eye on what's happening further up through the field. It's all remaining. Everyone's just pretty much calmed down and settled down. Most accepted it. They've still got another full lap to compete. I say that, might not is right into the back of Sale here, and it's not really going to help you with your OCD and patterns here, Sam, because this could be an amateur and a pro switching places as Sale will run in deep and shut the door right into Minot's face there. He was not letting him have that 6th place from him whatsoever. Oh yeah, part of the Sam Fitzpatrick OCD Patterns fan club. Not wanting to break that one up, but Minot is hot on his tail. He's got the run. What are we going to see? A move up the inside into turn 1? No. Oh, faking it there, Minot up the inside, trying to be the last of the late breakers. Is this going to be the change? Is it Minot anything to 6th? Well, it looks that way, but I tell you what, Sel's going to fight it back around the outside. He's going to try and get his nose in there. Minot won't let him whatsoever. But if he can hold it around the outside, can he get a switchback? Can he get a run up the hill? Maybe. But it's looking like Minot's got this one covered for me, Sam.
Yeah, it looks like he has done, and remember, Sale was able to make that move early on in the race, but that's Minot responding. Great to see Tom drive so well. I don't think I've ever seen him quite as competitive as this in an Apex Racing League event. He's clearly very comfortable in these F4 cars, and a championship contender undoubtedly for this season. 6th place overall is as mighty effort, but we have seen the switching very effective so far. I think Sale will have a chance later on this lap, but this is the last lap, so he's maybe got turn 12, but bar that, there's not going to be any chances as this man, Lennart Schnabel, questioning him in qualifying, but was only 8th place in qualifying for probably the joint favourite for the title, but he has delivered, and this is going to be his first race win of the season. If he doesn't go off the track.
Ooh, Sam, that was nearly the commentator's curse. Like the ultimate one there, but Schnabel saving it somehow. And he comes through. He's going to take victory in Heat 2. Caponio 2nd. Kelleher in 3rd. 3rd even. 3rd? What is that? Zemstra. Kaibach. Minot holds on to 6th with Sale and Russell being the last of the drivers to make it through. Lauritsen, Gonzaga, Kirk, Toff, Kliss, Walsh and Pollard. Well, not too long to wait to see those guys, because they're going to be straight into the Consolation final, which is going to come up, well, pretty much instantly as soon as the last drivers cross the line, which is going to be Pollard.
And Lauritsen was able to get past Gonzaga on that last lap. So we had a nice little alternating green, white, but Lauritsen throwing that away and moving up to P9. And will boost himself up 1 place, so that will mean he will start in P4 for the for the B final rather than P6. So that's quite a big advantage as we do transfer straight over into the B final. And here is the grid: Garrett Spence up on pole position. Then it's Aske Lauritsen, Fredrik Johansson, Jorge Gonzaga, Dorian Arroyo, Chris Kirk, James Horn. Watch out for Horn. I think he's one of the highest rated AM drivers, so he could be dangerous. Atia Toth, Cadence Presley will be strong. And it's Paul Joseph Klist, Joseph Gibbons, Jay Walsh, Daniel Scow, and Nick Pollard. If all 3 of the pro drivers, could get through tonight, Tim, that would be quite an achievement and quite a surprise. I didn't expect, honestly, to have this few pros in the B final. But yeah, let's see what they can do with it.
Yeah, not long to find out at all. And of course, you mentioned top 4 qualify. They'll go make their way through to the final. Who's going to make it? Not long to find out. Everyone's on the grid. Let's hear the lights. And we are green and we are racing. in the Consolation final. And I tell you what, Garrett Spence was not hanging around whatsoever, already building up a 3/10 lead as everyone left in his wake behind and scattered across the track. We've got 3 wides aplenty down into turn 1, and they're going to make it all through. They need to if they want to stand with the chance of being in the fight to make it through. There's Gonzaga currently in that crucial 4th place, but look at what's happening behind him. They're all queuing up to have a go when there's contact. Clist around. It's Arroyo, wasn't it? They've got similar liveries, and wow, the Mexican, that's looking like that's going to be the end for his night. He's just got this race, and that'll be his evening done and dusted. Oh, a complete and utter miracle, but stranger things have happened. Back at the front, Ritson, so Johansson and Ritson getting into one another, the 2 Danes, while Presley and Gonzaga has dropped a place to Keynes Presley. So Presley now in that crucial 4th place.
Yeah, so poor start for Kirk. He's dropped down 3 places, and yeah, awful start for Dorian O'Roy. Had a good chance, but it didn't seem to be totally his fault. Oh, we've got 2 spinners off, and that is Scow and Kirk. So even worse news there for Chris Kirk. Not a good debut for him, or Daniel Scow for that matter. Privateer and Dacer Sim Sports, those 2 drivers. But Spence, he's a good driver, Spence. I think he's got a solid chance at a top 4 hit. I don't think he's the fastest driver in this field. He's got to pick his battles cleverly. There's not necessarily a point in battling against Johansson. Johansson looks very quick. Maybe worth letting Johansson go, because he just needs people. The problem is he's got some very quick drivers behind him. He's got 3 pros, plus Luritson, all lining up behind us. We've got a spinner as well for Top and Walsh, it looks like. So bad into the lap for those 2.
There's a lot of the tyre smoke in the background there. Spence locks it up, and this could be the moment that he loses the lead, and he could even drop as far down as 4th as Johansson and Luritson head through, and so does Presley. Oh, just one small lockup has cost him dearly, and then into the back of Presley, just about managed to save it. Under rotation on the front left there, Gonzaga not too sure what to do and just backs out of it a little bit, trying to keep his car clean, but while they're all fighting over these positions with one another, that is allowing Gibbons, he's already at 5 places, to get up onto the back of them. And now Gibbons, well, he's just about a second down. Oh no, as Spence is around, and there was another car.
Did Gonzaga make contact then? Or it looked like a solo spin there for Spencer, and I think Gonzaga may have got distracted, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's have a replay. Our producer Sam Kume, always the quickest man to find these moments, and Gonzaga was flying through there. No, he was put off. He was sort of put off, so he had to apply a bit more brake there to Gonzaga, just to avoid the spinning Spence. And that extra braking unsettled the car, and that's why he went round. So Gonzaga's going to need a mighty effort to get into the top 4 for me. Likely he's going to need a favour from one of the top 4, making a mistake.
It's all fallen apart for Spence. Started on pole and now down to 6th. Not what the American would have heard.
Pole sitters, Tim.
It is.
You don't want to be on pole position.
It's the cursed place.
I really want this to be a season-long thing. Can we make it a season-long thing, guys?
Well, we've got one more race potentially. I mean, bar a miracle, you know, Spence is probably not going to make it through into the final. So it'll be interesting to see when we carry this curse of pole position on all season long. Johansson, Lauritsen, and Presley, your top 3. Although it's not necessarily going to remain in that order for much longer, because Lauritsen and Presley all over one another. I'll tell you what, this is really impressive from Lauritsen, the AM driver, and I mean, it's shown from the previous heat that, excuse me, he has got pace, but even so, Johansson's not getting away from them, and Lauritsen is having a right royal ding-dong here with Presley, Presley's up 6 places. I mean, a big shout to Joseph Givens, who's currently in 4th. You can just see him in the background there. He's up an incredible 7 places. A few patterns, Sam, and you know, your OCD. Look, we've got 2 Danes and then 2 Americans, then Brit, American, Brit. So there's lots of patterns going there for you.
Yeah, thank you for pointing that one out. I do like seeing stuff like that. Yeah, I was going to say that it's good to see Denmark doing so well as Presley this time over. Ooh. surviving. Come on, guys, you're going to get through. It's only one place on the grid. It's not even any points for this B final if you make it through. Let's hope that they haven't got any steering damage, because Presley's car all of a sudden is adding a few extra corners to this already very tight, twisty circuit. I think it's alright, but you don't want too many more of those contacts. Otherwise it can go very badly for you. Johansson now 1.3 seconds out, and Roy Lewitson come back straight away. This fighting will invite Gibbons and Horn, who are fairly quick drivers, into the fray. And yeah, still 8 minutes to go in this race, and I'm not sure if these two are quick enough to pull out to the draft one.
You see Lewitson. Look around the outside here. You can make that line work, but as long as the driver in front of you doesn't drift out, because then you can be on the inside. But equally, if you're on the inside, you can make it work, because then you're on the outside and then the inside again. And for the run up the hill, I'll tell you what, Presley knows it. Just covering that one off. Say to Lewitson, no, you're going to have to do this the hard way around. You're going to need to find another way, because you are not coming past. Look at the pace that Lewitson, the momentum that he's carrying through right now. I thought he was going to line up a move into 6 and 7 there, Sam, but he just seemed to have the much better pace. Just entry, mid and exit of turn 5 against Presley.
It looks like Pollard and Kirk may have had an issue. I think Gonzaga's just got past the pair of them. It's like Pollard he just got past. Ooh, that's a slide on the curb. I mean, it really is such a
Presley's look. Sorry, I didn't finish your point, Sam. Sorry.
No worries. I was just going to say how, you know, this is such a slipstream-oriented car. You can see how they can stay so close to the corners. And then the slipstream effect is you're punching a hole in the air. And yeah, it's really like not far off, you know, Skippies or MX-5 racing. It's really that sorts of tactics that you got to use.
Yeah, and I think that's why the F4 has been so popular. Same with the Toyota GR86. Certain it's going to be exactly the same with the Clear Cup when that comes along to iRacing very, very soon. Well, you know, it's always these lower safety classes that cars that provide this, yeah, pound for pound, the best wheel-to-wheel action and drama and excitement with normally not that many deaths, which especially for this car as well, the ARA 04, to give it its official name, because it's not a Formula 4, even though it is a Formula 4. Yeah, enough said about that one. Better. But you know, it's fun, you know, having exposed suspension. You still have great wheel-to-wheel racing in them, and it just works so well.
Yeah, I mean that's the curse I've ever heard once, and we are going to have an 18-car pile-up now in the A final. But I appreciate the sentiment, and I
Yes.
do agree with it that we do have good racing, and it's most of the time. Presley running a little bit wide through the chicane, so that one's just going to get closer and closer. Gibbons and Horn, wow, they're almost alongside again. Gosh. Oh, Horn has got past Gibbons. Gibbons is round.
No.
Gibbons is round. He has given a spot in the A final away to his rivals. And what has happened here? Has he lost it by himself, or has he been helped round? 255 was following. Oh, he was tapped. I think he was tapped. Gosh.
As well.
And Gibbons does well to avoid the wall. Wow. Well, Gibbons won't be happy about that, because that's a spot in the A final. I think it's just been denied from his. Kirk has had another spin. Pollard, sorry, went round. This is Scow and Kirk, and that is Scow moving past Kirk. So Scow, who I think was last at one point, he's up into 9th now.
Battles up and down the field, plenty. Kirk's trying to find his way past Scow. He's going to do it. Where it's 9 minutes out of the 14 in this Consolation final. He's trying to do a bit more further time as well in the final as well. That is an 18-minute final. We're going to see up the inside. Is this going to be the change for position? It looks like Kirk's got it done. Or has he? Because I tell you what, giving it a good fight back is Scow, and he's going to be ahead is Scow as well. The pair in front of them of Gonzaga and Gibbons, they're having a right go at one another, just like these two are. No one relenting, no one willing to give the position up whatsoever. And they're still side by side.
And so Scout, of course, made that move on the previous lap, but yeah, you take so long to consolidate the position. So it's very wide. Needs to pick up, make sure he doesn't pick up a slowdown. Running quite that wide does Scout, and Kirk is going to stay ahead now. again, we don't have favourites. However, Scowl, without an Apex Racing TV logo on it, and instead a Racebot TV logo on him, and of course, famously, that does give you an extra 10 brake horsepower, and we're not going to deny that. However, an Apex Racing League logo does give you bias, and personally, I would prefer that compared to any level of performance. So disappointed with that one for Kirk, but let's see if he changes it as the season goes on. Scowl will be battling against that extra 10 brake horsepower for the rest of this race, it looks like.
Indeed. Oh, running a bit wide there, a bit too deep right now is Kirk. He's going to hold on to it through here. Oh, no, Scout. Coming into the pits here, Sam.
Maybe instant limit? I am an admin. Let's see.
Sam, have a look.
It is, yes, 13.
Wow.
Jay Walsh also with a penalty, and Chris Kirk is on 11. Kirk's got to be careful.
Yeah, he's up in 9th right now. He's in a little bit of a bubble by himself. Of course, the off-track's always... Lauritsen's made it past Presley, or has he? The run up the hill, and this is one of the places where you can pick up these off-tracks. Just running a bit wide there. As we left the door open there for Presley, who says, thank you very much, I want to step inside there. But Lauritsen just able to carry that momentum around the outside. The extra bit of speed has helped him on the run into the chicane. And Lauritsen holds on to it for now. How much longer will he, though?
And Spence getting much closer to Horn. Spence was half a second faster that last lap than Horn. The gap is 1.6 seconds. We've got 2 more laps after this one. With the draft effect, which is going to play a part, I think Spence is going to be on the back of Horn by the end of this race. I think the question is, can he catch him early enough on that final lap to actually be able to make a move? As Presley gains a huge amount of time, Lewis, and sent it in too deep. Neither of these two can seemingly run a clean lap when they're ahead. And that's why this battle just keeps on going, especially ever so aggressive. He's constantly just putting his nose on the inside at every single opportunity, and it keeps on getting him alongside. I think the youngest driver in the grid is Cadence. I will check his iRacing profile, but yeah, I think the youngest driver out on track, but still doing very well despite it. And Presley, for now, gets back that position, but I think they're going to switch around a fair few more times in the remaining 2 laps.
No, it's remaining 1 lap, Sam, because when he crossed the line, I spotted that the white flag was in the air.
Yeah.
So this is it. It's all or nothing. All on the line now for Presley and Lauritsen. I mean, not going to make a massive... Well, actually, it will do, because it will mean starting a row further forward on the grid between those two. So either on the back row or the penultimate row. As we see, Presley's holding on to it.
So 17th and 19th is what this one is over. They shouldn't fight too. I mean, in the end, it's not going to make that much of a difference. They need to make sure that they get through. Basically, is the overwhelming objective in the position that they're in.
You're saying they should have tried harder in the heats and qualified automatically.
Or they could have done that, but they're in the position that they're in. And, well, let's see. They need to keep it clean, though, with 2 corners to go.
Well, talking with 2 corners to go, that's all Johansson needs to hold on for. Well, we saw how Schnabel got a bit wiggly just at this right moment in the last heat 2 of this evening, with Johansson making through. And he's going to take the victory in the B final, the Consolation final. He takes the check, and Presley is going to hold on to that 2nd place. Lauritsen 3rd, and Horn completing that section. So for the people to head straight through to the final, the last 4 people to make it through. They've had to do it the hard way. Spence, after starting on pole, the curse of the pole sitter remains. He finishes 5th and does not make it through. Kliss, Gonzaga, Givens, Kirk, Arroyo, Pollard, Tough, Walsh and Scow rounding out your field.
Yeah,
that was a bit dramatic.
Yeah, and well, if anything, judging by F3 last season, Tim, I don't know how much you would call that one, but in every single B final, it always got to the midpoint in the race and be like, okay, that's our top 4 set, and then one of them would crash.
Yes.
Or
yes, I'm
not even exaggerating. I think we had 9 rounds in the first 8 that happened every single time. This time, actually, I know that we had the slight setback for Givens, but really, Horn was pretty much there anyway. I mean, that
Yeah.
was good driving from the top 3 in particular, particularly Presley and Ritz and how hard they were fighting to not make contact. And then Horn, just with enough pace to beat Spence on those last couple of laps, to be fair, he was maintaining the gap. So even if Spence hadn't made that mistake, it would have been tight whether or not he would have been able to get through in that heat, or apologies, in that B final. And yeah, just Gonzaga, the only pro driver not to make it through. And of course, he had that spin earlier on in that race. He would have been once again right in there had it not been for that setback.
I mean, it's going for Givens, really, isn't it? You know, he was there at the tap. But, I mean, it sets him up for. I think he's definitely going to be a really interesting one to watch this season for certain.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone who's tuned in, by the way. Let us know who you are supporting in the YouTube chats. But yeah, do appreciate you watching along. And yeah, any comments about the circuit, comments about the track, apologies about the cars, do let us know. And yeah, we do like to have the fan clubs as well in full force when it comes to spectating on all our Apex Racing TV series. So do let us know who you are backing out here tonight, as we have a little bit of a calm down, Tim, and well, let's have a quick reminder of what the race 1 results were and who will be starting on the cursed pole position. And it was James Bell. So Bell starting from pole, Bergerson and Parham Smith. I would say those top 3, Tim, I don't think any of them are fast enough to pull away from one another. I can see us having like a lead pack of 6 or 7, and I think those 3 will be part of that big pack.
I agree with you on that one, Sam. The only thing that worries me is that they'll you know, they'll get into one another. They'll either play it right. Okay, it's an 18-minute race. We've got plenty of time here. Let's just settle down into it. Let's just pull away, establish that breakaway group from the peloton, as it were. To use our fellow producer Jennifer Grabowski's terminology, which was so true. And I think that's, if they can do that, then they'll be okay. But if they start getting into one another, A, it's going to hold them up, and B, and not show their true pace, and B, they're going to, they could end up falling off 1 or 2 of them. So that'd be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see how that works out amongst those drivers. In the second heat, we saw Lennart Schnabel taking the race win, 1.2 seconds ahead of Caponio and Keller. Tomster, K-Batch, Minot, Sale and Russell were the other drivers who managed to get through on that one. Yeah, I'd say any of the top 5, honestly. And Tom Minot, I mean, he was very competitive in that race, had a nice battle with Oscar Sale, but Minot's going to be in that little bit of a tricky spot. He's going to be starting P12, which is basically right in the middle. That's not an easy place, even as a very competitive driver, to survive in what is the biggest grid that we're going to have this evening.
No, it's not. It's especially a circuit like this, as much as it is wide, which does aid it that quite a bit. It's also a bit of a curse because it's only one line for a lot of the corners. You can end up losing a lot of time due to the undulations around here and the off-camber corners as well. You can end up being pushed out wide, or losing a lot of time, and that's going to be the tricky part for, I think, some of our drivers. But in equal terms, it is a bit challenging to overtake around here. Although this lot don't quite seem to have got the moment. We've seen plenty of overtakes, so never say never, I think.
No, there will be chances, and yeah, that was the B final results. Johansson ahead of Presley and Lauritsen, Horn, and yeah, those top 4 managing to get through as warm-up is finished. Shout out, by the way, to Virtual Racing School, providing setups and dates packs for 50 different cars on iRacing, Oval, Road, Rallycross, and Dirt Oval as well. Absolutely everything supplied by Virtual Racing School, and some fantastic hardware as well. Check out their wheelbase pedals and their new wheel rim as well, all available at virtualracingschool.com. And also check out Apex Racing simulators as well, where you can also try them out here at our headquarters. There's our grid: Bell, Schnabel, Ferguson, Caponier, Smith, Keller, Young, Zwemstra, Amor, and K-Batch rounding out the top 10. Pick your winner, Tim, because I feel like any of these top 10, I was talking about a big pack, I could be half the field.
It could be some. This could go absolutely any way. Quick one. Garrett Spence in the chat saying how he missed out on the finals by 1 place twice. He's in pain.
Ouch.
And Tem79 saying feeling weird, only seeing 2 colours for the 2 classes. It is a little bit. Oh, that was a jump start and a half from the 1-3-4 of Bergerson. Well, he went with it, and he's going to have to push this one out. And he said about being close at the start, but oh, that is not good. It's going to hurt him dearly because he will have to serve a penalty for that. But meanwhile, in the midfield, they're into one another, and that is Young around, and he's collected Lauritsen for good measure. Oh, sorry, no, it was Jason Wilkinson who was around and out.
Well, I'm fascinated to see if Bergson did jump the start there, because it was an awful start for James Bell, all the way down into 4th position straight away as we got an off for K-Batch. It's another poor start for our Heat 1 pole sitter, and he is at threat of losing even more places. Wemstra's in amongst that. Wemstra's had a poor start. He's dropped 1 place, and so he's just regaining whatever he can back as Wemstra and Camper, the 2 pole sitters from the Heats, are actually alongside one another. Oh, well, you'd have long odds for these guys to be batting over 10th and 11th after qualifying, but here they are, and it is Zambia for now who gets ahead. Parent Smith, our AM leader, is into the wall. Hard hit for him. He initially lost out to Bell on that 3rd position, and it must have been contact on corner exit, and he will need to take a faster pair as Will Young, because he's gone and bent it as well.
Young, well, just lost it all by himself there. Maybe just a bit distracted by Power, and Young's headed straight to the pits. Meanwhile, up at the sharp end, it's all kicking off here. There's a more trying to, well, prevent the progression of Caponio and Kelleher.
Well, that was an amazing move there from Amor. I mean, Caponio went so defensive, and yeah, it was a jump start, and you're absolutely right. Sam Kume trying to identify this one, and he's just going to go well ahead of everyone else, isn't he?
Here we go. So he's on the reds. Wait for it. There you go.
Oh,
yeah,
that was
big
huge.
Start.
I mean, he was closer to the B final race start right there.
You're spot on there, Sam. Absolutely spot on. So Bergson, he's come in, served his penalty. Wilson, Parent Smith, and Young all into the pits. All right, well, only just onto lap 2. Kelleher now up into 4th. So the curse has continued. Pole sitter not in the leading position for now. Is it going to mean that they won't take the victory too? It's why not on Presley? Oh, Presley's around, so something's happened between those two. And isn't that the exit of 3?
Yeah, well, it's a good start for Presley. And yeah, he's sort of undone that now. Lewinson and Horn, 2 of the other drivers who managed to progress from the B final, and they have stuck with one another. Zwemstra with an issue. No, Kevin. No. This is your season, Kevin. Such a competitive driver. Was very unlucky the last time he ran the F4s. Should have won several races, but was had just a bunch of bad luck. Unfortunately, that seems to be a self-mistake at the chicane, and he's down to 15th place. Let's see if it was, and maybe jumping to conclusions, because he was surrounded by other drivers. The 178 is Cyrus Zambia behind him, and Zambia has sent it. Well, let's see what the stewards decides, whether Zambia was far enough alongside heading in. Oh no, Johansson's now gone off. He has such a good start. Johansson was up 10 places.
It's all happening, Sam. It's like, you know, you have a good start, or you know, have been a good progress, and then all of a sudden it falls apart for you in the blink of an eye. And he holds it somehow, spike contact all around there. Zambia now through, Kai back behind him. Schnabel and Bell, well, they're close as you like up at front as well. Kelleher and Amor too.
Kelleher just got past Amor as well into P3.
He did, didn't he?
It was a mistake from Amor, I believe. Well, actually a very good first sector as well for Keller. but mainly a mistake from the man who now sits in 4th position. And so potential Irish driver on the podium would be the first time, I think, since the Mazda Cup about a year ago that we last saw that. As K-Patch, yeah, looking to recover. He could get as high as 5th place potentially, because Caponio looks a little bit slower than these drivers, aren't he? He's defending well, is Caponio, but he cannot get away from them.
I mean, one thing we haven't really highlighted so far is Kerr, 7th, and really getting stuck into things, are leading in AM. As Zambra's managed to make his... There you go, a bit of a switcheroo potentially going on there. But it's, well, as close as you like as Kerr, having to defend from Kaibak here, and they're still side by side, not willing to give an inch. As into the pits comes Caponio, which could be why he allowed Zambra pass so easily, being teammates.
He's already got 12 incidents. I don't know how, because I don't think he's had much contact. But yeah, drive through.
Wow.
Did not think that would be such a big issue, but it is a tricky circuit to keep it within the margins. I mean, you do have those extra margins, but there's still just as much time on corner exit, because the curbs are such a small deterrent. They're so insignificant that, yeah, it is so easy to push it further. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, up into the place I personally always struggle with is turn 4. It's technically classed as, realistically. But they're just heading, well, just seeing him head through now. Kerr, it's just running it wide out there. It's so easy to do, and that's more around losing a lot of places because of it. Oh, I don't know about your screen, Sam, but he's just heading straight through the wall with his nose cone. I was about to say, no, don't go forwards, because you're going to snap the nose off, but...
Yeah, I would say don't use a shortcut, but if he's gone that way, then he's probably just going to elongate this fairly long circuit already. I heard some tyre screeching, and he's just lost it on the exit, I believe.
Cool bit of curb on the...
Ooh, that's very strange, isn't it? I mean, I'm not totally familiar with this circuit, but he straightened up that car there, and then the rear just goes. So
it's a bit of AstroTurf there, Sam, which way he came back across that, and it is a bit slippery, that AstroTurf, in not just in iRacing, but other games, as Kaibak, well, just trying to squeeze his nose in where Minot really does not want it right now. I tell you what, Minot's got past Kaibak, hasn't he? We didn't even spot that happen. There's so much going on right now, but yeah, that AstroTurf run there is really slippery, and it catches you out in all sorts of car categories and different sims. But yeah, Kaibak, well...
I think he lost 2 places potentially. I think he may have lost 3 places. He had an awful middle sector, did Kaibak.
Got to have had a bit of an excursion off track, just got into the grass a little bit.
Sails up to 5th.
Yes, and so Kurz drops to 6th and now has Minot right on his tail. So that is for the lead in AM. And well, the battle for 5th overall going on right now between these 4. Sale, Kerr, Minot, Kaibak, and I tell you what, only 4 tenths behind them is Russell, who has Horn, only 4 tenths behind him, who has Lauritsen, only about 3 tenths behind him. These guys are as close as you like, so we've got about a 7-car fight here. Over 6th place, everybody wants it. No, 5th place, sorry, everybody wants it.
Oh, this would be a bold one for Kaibak. They're going to lose so much time. Oh, you know what, Minot. So smart there. Credit to Tom Minot there. He wasn't going to go alongside because they were going to lose half a second and had a 50% chance of crashing. So he just backs out of that one, could have fought it, and he realises, let's stay in the draft. It was aggressive from Kaibak, but yeah, smart join there from Minot. Now he needs to rattle through these S's as fast as he can to try to get as much of a slipstream onto the main straight to defend against George Russell's brother behind. Zwemstra on the comeback. I wonder how high Zwemstra could get back. He could get P5 out of this one, see Zwemstra. I mean, they're just lining up ahead of him.
They are. They're in one long train, and I mean, you were saying earlier, I mean, Zwemstra also had a lot of bad luck in the F3 Championship as well. Pretty much over the last couple of seasons, he's the perennial, if he didn't have any bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all. It's Kevin Zwemstra, the Dutchman. And, well, the recovery drive in full force. Your highest position climber is Zambra. You've seen that up 11 places into 4th. James Horn, he's up 10 places into 10th. Continue to highest position climbers, with Sale being up 9. And the top 3 in that. Your top 3 is Schnabel, Bell and Kelleher. With Kerr, Minor and
Russell.
Hall. Oh, he's made a mistake, hasn't he, Sam? It's got to be.
Yeah, I saw some smoke.
A few cars there scraping the ground there. I think the sparks kicking up in a few. But a bit of tyre smoke. That could be a bit of netcode-esque. You know, when it just lifts the car up and then drops it back down again in the sim. Creating that. And Sturmstrom really needs to try and just eke out another 10th or 2 over these guys. No, Horn. We said about being up 10 places into 10th, make that up only 9 now into 11th as he's dropped off the group in front of him and now behind Russell. That's brought Sturmstrom into, a couple of potential easy gains. However, saying that, look, Bergerson, who we know is quick, is the Swede, is trying to impede the progress right now of Sturmstrom. This is evolving and changing constantly, and it's hard to know where to look because they all just...
Oh, no.
No.
Oh,
That's Sturmstrom going to lose place. Oh, he's lost 2. Oh, no, he's off his position.
No.
He's pulled out.
Yeah, has he got damage or something? Or maybe got reached the instant limit?
Just trying to get into the pit lane. So,
No,
no,
he's had
no.
enough.
That's yeah, I've had enough of this. Yeah, he's checked out.
Guy back past Kerr, who was anticipating this one would happen. Him, Kerr's the one amateur driver along with Minot. He's kept it clean on this, and Lewitson, to be fair. But he's not letting Kai back go easy. Kai back's yeah, just this whole evening really, just after that poor start to race 1, he's been overtaking drivers, but then had them re-overtaking him again. It's been ever so tricky for him to make these moves sticks. But Kerr on the inside for turn 4 leaves a bit of room for his rival, and from this position it should be the Joe who has the upper hand. I think it'll be whether or not Minot is able to get underneath, which is yeah the question now.
I think he's going to do it, Sam. I think this is it. And in going on the attack, Kurt is going to lose a place here, in fact. To Minot now, your new class leader in AM. Kurt down to second. Lauritsen is hot on the heels, though. Your top 3 podium sitters in AM are now all over each other like a rash. You can cover them like with a blanket, practically. Meanwhile, up front, Schnabel now 2 seconds clear of Bell, but Kelleher is, well...
mistake.
He must have had, mustn't he? Because they were pretty evenly spaced about this time last lap.
Yeah, Keller was closing in a little bit, but yeah, I think he's just lost about half a second in that final sector, and here it is. He's gonna run in deep. These oh, well, he's already. Oh, so that was the mistake. No, he's made another mistake, hasn't he? So he's already dropped it there, and then a slow down. I think he ran so wide they picked up a slow down. I think you get a slow down out there. I mean, let us know on the chat, but it looked very deliberate, that wide line.
Did Horn into the pits. As we see right now, Bell is right onto the back of Kelleher. Wants to get this place back. As we climb up the hill, what is going to happen between these two? It's not done and dusted. We're currently just approaching 13 minutes out of the 18 here in the final. Who's going to take the first victory of the season? Well, yeah, man, he's going to be on Schnabel, but who's going to pick up second? Because it is fiercely contested. 3/10 of a second between the pair of them. We know Bell's pace.
Watch out for Zambra as well. Zambra's just been punching in fast stuff. So the race for a while as a huge slide. Keller will lose that position to Zambra. Surely, where is Zambra?
There he is.
I thought he was going to appear on the left, but Zambra, with very smart driving, decides to take the inside line, and he's up into 3rd place. Now Zambra could catch up to Bell by the end of this one. He is by far the fastest man out on circuit. So much potential for both Skork's esports drivers tonight, but it hasn't turned out that way with Caponier down in 14th and Zambra in 3rd, despite being the fastest man out on track. But he's got 1.6 seconds to catch now to Bell, and of course once he gets within a second, that draft will just drag him up to the back.
Sam, I was reading in the chat, Garrett Spence was typing that apparently running the car too low here, you can get damage from the curbs. I do have to wonder, that's maybe why we're seeing a few of these mistakes, a few of the snap oversteers in unexpected places where people are just running their car a bit too low and then it's causing it to bottom out more easily. And these well, dramatic mistakes, I was just seeing from Keller, oh no, but that's not a, well, Liam Kerr.
That's second
Yeah.
place.
That is. Oh no, and he's all the way down. He's behind Russell now in 12th. And has emerged in front of Cadence Presley, who's had a bit of a quiet race earlier on. Presley, well, he's through, and I think knows that his luck is up here in the final after leading the class for so long. It's in these dying minutes of the final. It's all falling apart for him right now. Wow. Ooh, I've just heard the big clatter, Sam.
Oh,
ahead.
Has Percy lost it? No, Percy hung on to it. But yeah, I heard that class as well. Oh, now Percy's lost it. It was really sketchy through turn 4, and I think you're right about the curves, but I think also the perennial thing on iRacing, the tyres, once you overheat them, it's very tricky to cool them back down. And I think Presley having that's there because that was consecutive corners where he had very little control over the car. I think he's got a good pace, and to be fair, 13th place is not a bad result for him out of the 30 drivers he took to the track tonight. Yeah, not perfect for him. Is room for improvements. Oh, very close now for P2, isn't it? So Bell, Zambia, and
Zambia.
Keller.
Yeah,
Awful
Keller.
lap there for Bell. He lost 1.5 seconds to the cars behind.
Yeah, he's lost a whole. I'm trying to have a quick look, Sam, to see what.
He was actually slow everywhere.
Yeah.
He lost 5 tenths in sector 1, 4 tenths in sector 2, and 4 tenths in sector 3.
Now, do we think this is the bit of a right? I know that they behind me. They've got to push to catch up with me. If I just have a bit of a slower lap, just bring down those tyre temperatures you were just mentioning, and then I'm going to be good to go to the end. I'll have, you know, they're going to end up heating their tyres. It's going to be harder for them, but they've been pushing already. He's just got that bit in the bank for him, knowing that it is a bit of a challenge to overtake around here as well. It's becoming a bit more, you know, he knows he's still going to catch Schnabel, who was already 2 seconds clear of him. It's a bit of a thinking man's game race type going on right now from Bell.
Good to see comment. Oh, that's going underneath here. Keller, he sees his opportunity. There's contact between the two of them, but Zambia will hold on to P3. Zambia knows he's got to get this move done very quickly, otherwise Keller will be passed. Good to see Daniel Scow commenting in the YouTube chat. I'll come back stronger, and that's good to see from Daniel because he was quick enough to get into the A-Fan tonight, as Keller does make the move on the Swiss driver Camber, who did not put up much of a fight there. I'm not sure why. Let's see if he's picked up a drive-through or something. No, he's absolutely fine. So Zambia, fastest lap after fastest lap for this entire race, but did not fight hard there. And, well, it's allowed Bell to really pull away.
Well, the white flag's in the air, Sam. 1 lap left to go. Schnabel looking comfortable at the top, 4.2 seconds clear of this battle we're seeing for, well, three-way battle for second. Bell, Keller, Zambra, and yeah, but no, I've stayed on 3. I was going to include Sail into that. I'm losing the plot slightly. So much has gone on here. There's Zambra having another look at the outside. He's saying we've seen, you know, firm tactics and overtake moves applied by Zambra in the route to the final. And it was surprised that he just let Keller just have the place with relative ease in comparison. I was expecting him to put up a real hard fight over that one.
Yeah, especially when Bell's only just ahead, but yeah, maybe something going on. But we are not aware. Bergerson, by the way, is just at the fastest sector 2 of anyone. He's 3 tenths faster than the race leader through sector 2 alone, which is quite impressive. Bergerson and Zambia, I think we are going to see much more of them near the top for the rest of this season. Really have not had a proper representation of their pace. Schnabel, Bell, and Kay, I think have been absolutely delivering.
I think there's quite a few drivers I think you can fit into that category as well. You know, lots of Kerr fought incredibly well. You know, had that bit of contact. Lawrenson might not. To we're saying the build-up about how fierce and competitive the AMs are going to be. It's definitely going to be that all season long. But with your first victory of the season, Lennart Schnabel clinches it at a comfortable pace. 4 seconds clear of the field. Congratulations, Jim. And Bell holds on to second. Killer has third place. Does the Irishman with Zamba in the end, having to settle for fourth. Bell looking up there, and he's done and dusted. Sale fifth, Kybak, Bergerson. To get 7, might not quite get the place of Bergerson in the end. Lauritsen and Russell are your podium in AM, 8th through to 10th, respectively for those guys. It's Johansson, Kerr, Caponio, Presley, currently in 14th. All not quite across the line. It's not done and dusted, but Presley looking like he's going to hold on to that one. Wilkinson's going to finish in 15th. With 16th, it's going to be James Hall because Semsture and more Parent Smith. Another really quick driver, Sam. I think he could be like, one who's going to really take the fight to the pros, quite a bit.
Yeah, I think he's going to be hanging around the pros for the entire season. Parent Smith had that problem in this A final, but still a good debut, or impressive debut at the very least for him. And that is the checkered flag, and we'll go through the results properly for this opening round of the championship. Still 8 more rounds of the series to go, and if you do want to join, do check out apexracingleague.com. You can get yourself signed up for the remainder of the rounds if you like what you saw tonight. But there it was, Schnabel up ahead of Bell, Keller, Zambra, Sale, K-Batch, Bergerson. Top of the AMs were Minot, Lauritsen and Russell, and the rest of them were Johansson, Kerr, Caponio, Presley, Wilkinson, Horn, Zwemscher, and Moore in 18th place, and then Parent Smith and Young rounding out the 20 cars. Got 30 drivers taking to the grid tonight, and we will have a chat with as many drivers as we can, and already we've got Mr. Lennart Schnabel up in the commentary box with us. Lennart, really congratulations tonight. It's maximum points for yourself. Talk us through the evening, because your qualifying was not the best you've ever had, only starting in or only qualifying I think in P7, but your race pace was absolutely exceptional.
Yeah, we had a pretty rough qualifying. All of a sudden I found myself in P1 after the second corner. I saw everyone was sorting themselves out to the right hand side on turn 1, and I thought, yeah, why should I keep going with them? So I went around the outside. It worked extremely good. Made up 2 places in one corner, and then yeah, another one in the second corner. From there on, it was just managing the tires, just realizing how the car handles on low fuel, because I never had or usually don't have the experience to drive a car with less fuel. But yeah, if you consider where we started, it's a very good finish.
Absolutely. Of course, you were runner-up last season in this car. Have you been able to try the F4 out at all in the official since?
Yeah, this week I've done 2 official races. Tried out 2 different setups to get a feeling what's going to be best for me, and basically that was it. The last time I drove the car before this week was last season.
Well, it's a very good return to form for yourself. And judging by what you saw out here tonight, who do you see as your main championship rival for the season?
I think everyone starting in the top 7 has a fair chance of winning the championship. It's just all about keeping it together during the heat and the feature race. So at the end, everybody can come out on top. I don't want to name any specific names. Yeah, I think everyone has a good chance.
Yeah, certainly agree with that one, Lennart. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out before we say goodbye?
Yeah, shout out to my team. especially to Kevin. I'm sorry for your race. Otherwise, we would have had a lot more team points, because that's what it all matters at the end. Yeah, shout out to my parents and to you guys. Thank you for the stream, and yeah, see you next week, I guess.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on this fantastic start, Lennart. Hope you keep it up for the remaining rounds.
Thank you.
Lennart Schnabel there for Orkentech NHR, your race winner tonight. And Tim, I think you're standing by with our amateur race winner.
I am indeed. Tom Minot now joins us. Tom, congratulations. But, well, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't necessarily the easiest of ones for you. I mean, just about, got in, through the heats automatically into the final. But, I mean, from there, it was a real challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was a really, really tough race. Yeah, good evening. That was it was tough. It's not a track I'm particularly felt particularly good at before this week, and it was been a really, really good challenge actually to work on a setup that feels safe. I know a lot of people, you can see it in the race, a lot of people had issues through turn 2 and turn 13. So for me, I was trying to make the car really stable through there, but I think I did sacrifice a bit of top speed, so felt pretty vulnerable. And I know the pro driver is obviously really quick, probably quite familiar with this car. I'm used to racing the USF 2000 a bit more than I did race the F4, so it's been a good first race. Obviously, I think I might have won the AM for the heat race. I'm not quite sure, but getting the victory on this one for sure was great. But it's a tough, really, really tough place to start racing with these cars, which can race very close to each other, and it's a bit like a big go-kart track, isn't it? It's lots of great cutback opportunities, and it was great fun actually.
Yeah, for your clarification, yes, you did win your heat as well. But having said that, looking forward to the head, you've got the likes of Kerr, who's incredibly quick, obviously, until he had his bit of a collision which sent him off. I mean, Parent Smith, is, well, based on today, has looked incredibly quick. Aspirations for this season, Tom, what are you sort of looking for?
Top 3 would be awesome. Parent Smith for sure. He looks rapid. I think me and Liam were pretty much on pace. I know we came together on lap 8 on the last race, and I spotted Chase. Seemed to think that was probably a bit of a racing incident rather than anything sort of that I could have done to maybe avoid it. But definitely going to be a challenger going forward. I'm sure there's some other guys that will, be up and around there. But to be honest, I think the last Apex race I did, I wasn't a parent then, so I'm a dad. I've got less time in the sim. I've got less time to practice. So actually, if I can just stay competitive, have fun, battle for the podiums each week, that'd be awesome. It's different sort of schedule maybe from this time last year with my racing, but it's just about having fun. And big thanks to my wife, who's currently watching the baby monitor, because it's normally my job on Saturday night to give her a night off. So she's filling in for me for this hour just in case he wakes up.
Congratulations. Well, we'll look forward to seeing in a week's time. That's Tom Minot, your winner here in the AM category. Sam, who have you managed to grab for a chat next?
Let's see who we have got. There's only one man who I can have a chat with. It's Philip Russell, who joins us in the commentary box now. Philip, congratulations. P3 in the A final out of the AMs. You must be pretty happy with that one. I mean, straight through into the A final, and once you got into the A final, bar a little bit of one setback, it was all good.
Yeah, it was a very good race actually. I mean, considering how bad the heat felt for me, pace was really not there. Going into the final, I was feeling confident, but then I got loads of points on my warning. What are they called? I was left with 11, obviously out of the 12, with like 5 laps to go, so I had to really drive carefully. So, but 10th overall and 3rd in class is pretty good. Definitely.
Of course, you're racing for R Sports this season. Maybe my favourite livery of the championship. Just to explain, is this a new team or an established team that you've recently joined?
It's basically made by myself, so it's a new team. I don't know if you've seen the chat. This is going to probably be my last season for a while, because me and my wife are having twins in June, so this is going to be my last hurrah, and then I'll have a few months off whilst I'm looking after 3 children. So that's kind of where it's come from. I've obviously wanted to start something for a long time, and our sports come from that. So yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, I mean, Tom was just in here, and he was saying how he's got kids, and that's affected his driving. And Christ, it seems to just be our demographics of Apex Racing League. That's we are of that age, I think, all the drivers. And of course, finally, we can't say goodbye without asking you how George is feeling after earlier on. You know, is he happy about the result? I mean, it's not pole, but you know, they seem to be fairly solid.
He's a bit disappointed, but you know, it is what it is. And I think, you know, hopefully the race pace tomorrow is going to be stronger. But you know, was it P7? I can't remember what it was, but yeah, P6 I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So see where he comes from tomorrow, and yeah, hopefully he can get some good points.
Absolutely. Well, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, Philip?
You guys, thank you for doing an awesome championship as always, and I really appreciate obviously the efforts you put into it. So yeah, thank you for you.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to George tomorrow, Philip, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of the championship.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Philip Russell, there, your third place finisher out of the amateur trials, and I think that's pretty much all we're going to have time for tonight, Tim.
It is indeed, Sam. I was just looking at the clock. I don't know where the time has gone, but wow, thank you everyone very much at home for joining us. What a drama-filled race it has been. Well, all four, to be fair. Highs, lows, some real emerging favourites early on. Schnabel and, well, Minot, congratulations to them on their wins in their categories. But what can we say? It's going to be another drama-filled season. We just can't wait to cover here at Apex Racing TV. I've been Tim Cox with Sam Fitzpatrick and, of course, Samuli Kumo, as always, in the background, working his magic in the virtual broadcast trailer. We'll see you in a week's time when we head across the pond to the absolutely epic Road America.